I'm not proud of what I did. But if you ever find out your husband has a mistress and he's bold enough to bring her to your father-in-law's house, you'll understand why I did it, because Derrick didn't just cheat. He cheated quietly, so quietly. I almost blamed myself. He started working late, taking his phone into the shower, coming home smelling like soap and lies, and I kept telling myself, it's just stress. It's just work. He's just tired, until the night his phone lit up. And I saw her name, Bree, and the message said, "Can't wait to see you again." I felt sick, but what made my blood run cold was when I saw the reminder right under it. Friday dinner, don't be late. Location, Marvin's house, my father-in-law. That's when I knew this wasn't an affair anymore. This was a setup, and baby, I don't get set up. You don't always catch cheating with lipstick stains. Sometimes it's the silence. The kind of silence that sneaks into your house wearing your husband's cologne. The kind that sits at the dinner table with you but never touches your hand. Anymore, the kind that makes your marriage feel like a room with the lights on, but nobody home. Derrick and I had what people call a good life. We lived in a clean 2-story in Plano, the kind with matching porch furniture and neighbors who waved too much. Derrick worked in corporate finance downtown, always dressed sharp, always smiling like he didn't have a worry on earth. At church, the women called him a blessing, the men called him solid, and I believed it. I was the one packing his lunches, folding his shirts, matching socks, like that was my ministry. I'm the kind of wife who remembers your favorite cereal and your mama's birthday. So when Derrick started acting different, I didn't panic at first. I tried to explain it away. He's stressed. He's tired. It's the holidays. It's work. But then came the first punch. It was a Tuesday night. One of those cold Texas nights where the wind sounds like it's whispering secrets through the trees. Derrick came home late. Almost midnight. I was on the couch pretending to watch TV, because something in my spirit wouldn't let me fall asleep. The front door opened and Derrick walked in, smelling like he'd just showered. Not like sweat and city air like usual. Fresh soap, clean skin, like he rinsed off something that wasn't mine. I sat up. "Hey." He froze for half a second like he forgot I lived there, then he smiled. "Hey, baby, you still up?" I watched him loosen his tie. "You just got off work." "Yeah," he said. "Too quick. It was a long one." I sniffed again, trying not to look crazy. "Why do you smell like you just showered?" He laughed. Sharp little laugh. "What?" "I can't smell good." My stomach tightened, but I forced a smile. "I'm just asking." He leaned down, kissed my forehead, and his lips felt like a stamp quick. Automatic. "I'm going to bed." And just like that, he disappeared upstairs. That was the moment my peace cracked. Not shattered. Not exploded. Cracked. After that, it started happening regularly. Every Tuesday and Friday, Derrick was suddenly working late. Every Tuesday and Friday, he came home smelling too clean, and worse. He started guarding his phone like it was a newborn baby. He used to leave it on the kitchen counter, used to toss it on the couch like it didn't matter. Now he took it into the bathroom, into the shower, even to check the mail. One night I reached for it innocently because it buzzed while he was cooking, and he spun around so fast it startled me. "What are you doing?" he snapped. I blinked. "Your phone just, I got it," he said, grabbing it out of my hand like it burned. I stared at him. "Derrick, what's wrong with you?" He exhaled and forced a smile. "Nothing's wrong. Just don't be in my stuff, okay?" That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling while he snored, like everything was fine, but it wasn't fine. I called my best friend Angie the next morning. Angie's the type of woman who doesn't sugarcoat anything. She's been my ride or die since college. The kind of friend who will bring you soup when you're sick and bail money when you're stupid. She answered on the first ring. "Tasha, you okay?" I hesitated. "I think Derrick's acting weird." "Define weird," she said. "Because men act weird when they're hungry, but they act suspicious when they're guilty." I swallowed hard. "He's working late a lot. He guards his phone and he smells like soap when he comes home." Angie got quiet for a second, then said, "Why would a married man shower before coming home?" I whispered, "That's what I'm saying." Angie's voice went low. "Because he's rinsing off somebody else's perfume, babe." My chest tightened like someone stepped on it. "I don't want to believe that." Angie sighed. "Then don't accuse him yet. Catch him. Catch him." That word sat heavy in my throat all day. That Friday night, Derrick fell asleep on the couch. Watching sports, his hand was still wrapped around his phone, like he didn't even trust himself to let go. I sat across from him, heart pounding like it was trying to warn me. I stared at his sleeping face and felt something I'd never felt before. Stranger, this man had my last name. This man had been inside my body. This man had prayed over our dinner, and now he felt like a stranger. His phone lit up. I froze. A message preview appeared right on the screen. "Can't wait to see you again, Bree." My whole body went cold. I didn't move at first. I think my brain was trying to protect me by pretending. It wasn't real then. I carefully slid the phone out of his hand. My fingers shook so hard, I almost dropped it. I took screenshot after screenshot. My eyes burning, there were messages, plans, inside jokes, pet names. And in that moment, I realized something that made me feel sick. This wasn't new. This was comfortable. This was routine. Before I put the phone back, something else caught my edge. Calendar reminder. Friday dinner. Don't be late. No details. No name, just that. I stared at it, confused because Derrick always claimed Fridays were work nights, so what dinner? And why did it feel important? Over the next week, I started noticing other things. Money missing, small cash withdrawals he never used to do. Random gift purchases. Charges from a restaurant downtown I'd never been to at first. I tried to convince myself, maybe it's a surprise. Maybe he's planning something. Maybe he's finally making up for something. Then I remembered our anniversary had already passed last month, and he didn't even buy me flowers. Not a single rose, not even a card, but somebody named Bree was getting dinner, gifts and kisses. I sat in the laundry room one night holding my phone like it was a lifeline. The washing machine hummed. The house smelled like detergent and fake peace. My hands were shaking again. Angie texted me, "You got proof." I typed back, "Yes," she replied. "Then you're not crazy. You're awake." That night, Derrick came home late again, smiling to icily. "What's for dinner?" he asked. I looked at him. My heart full of rage and grief and disbelief. "Leftovers," I said softly. He grinned, like that was fine. "Cool." And as he walked past me, I noticed his phone again face down. Always face down now. I wanted to scream, but I didn't, because Angie was right. I didn't need to accuse him. I needed to catch him. Later that night, I checked that calendar. Reminder again. This time, I tapped it and my stomach dropped to the floor. There was a location pin attached. Marvin's house. My father-in-law's house. The place where we celebrated holidays. The place where Derrick's family called me daughter. So why was my husband's secret dinner connected to Marvin's house? And what did that mean? Cliffhanger. I stared at the screen, whispering, "Why is my father-in-law involved?" And that's when I realized this betrayal might already be sitting at the family table waiting for me. The hardest part about being cheated on isn't just the betrayal, it's the way your whole life keeps moving like nothing happened. While your soul is breaking in slow motion, I still made breakfasts, still drove the kids to school, still smiled at neighbors, still posted pictures like everything was normal. But inside, I felt like my heart was holding its breath. I spent the next week doing something I never thought I'd do. I became my husband's investigator. Not because I wanted drama, but because I needed the truth to stop slipping through my fingers. I checked our bank account late at night while Derrick slept beside me like a man with no shame. I scrolled through charges, receipts, transfers, each one, like a tiny paper cut. There it was again, the restaurant. Every Tuesday, every Friday, and always around 7:30. Then I started looking at his calendar. Same pattern, tight deadline meeting, late work. But he wasn't late randomly, he was late on schedule. I called his office the next Tuesday around 5 o'clock, my heart pounding like I was doing something illegal. The receptionist answered cheerfully. "Good afternoon, Greystone Financial." I swallowed. "Hi, this is Tasha Moore. I'm looking for Derrick Moore." She clicked her keyboard. "Oh, Derrick left early today." I froze. He did. "Yes, ma'am. He said it was a family thing." A family thing. My chest tightened like the air got sucked out of the room. "Okay," I managed. "Thank you." When I hung up, I just sat there staring at my steering wheel. My hands were on it, but I wasn't driving. I was shaking. Family thing? What family? Because it sure wasn't me. That's when I made a decision. I drove straight to the restaurant. It was one of those fancy downtown places, dim lighting, cloth napkins, and valet parking. The kind of place Derrick used to say was a waste of money. I walked in like I belonged, even though my knees felt weak. The hostess smiled. "Hi, welcome." I forced a smile back. "Hi, quick question. Do you have a Derrick Moore who dines here often?" Her face lit up like I said something cute. "Oh yes, Derrick is a regular." My stomach flipped. She leaned closer, lowering her voice playfully. Tonight? Or is Bree joining him again?" Everything inside me stopped. Time paused, sound disappeared. I felt like someone slapped me without touching me. I made my mouth work. "No," I said, voice tight. "Bree won't be joining." The hostess nodded politely, clueless. "Okay, no problem." I walked out before I started crying in that restaurant. I got to my car, shut the door, and sobbed. like my chest was breaking open. I covered my mouth with my hands so the valet wouldn't hear me. Receipts don't cry, but I did. That night, Angie came over with wine and tissues. She listened while I told her everything, and when I finished, she looked at me and said, "He's comfortable? That's why he's bold." I wiped my tears. "I don't know who I married." Angie leaned forward. "You married a man who thinks you'll never leave. Prove him wrong, but do it smart." So, I got smarter. The next Friday, I followed Derrick. I waited until he left the office parking lot, then stayed back far enough to not look suspicious. My heart raced every time he looked in his mirror. He drove smoothly like a man going to meet happiness. Not duty, not work. Happiness. He didn't go downtown. He didn't go to a client meeting. He drove into a townhouse complex, about 20 minutes away, where the buildings were newer, the lawns too perfect. He parked, got out, and walked up like he'd done it 100 times. A woman opened the door, even from a distance. I could tell she was confident. She leaned in, wrapped her arms around him, and Derrick kissed her like I wasn't even his wife, like I was just a background character in his real story. I covered my mouth again, eyes filling. Angie's voice echoed in my head. Don't confront too early, so I didn't. But the pain followed me home. I smiled at Derrick when he came back later, like I hadn't just watched him love another woman. And when he went to shower, I went into the laundry room, shut the door, and cried into a towel so my kids wouldn't hear. That's the part people don't talk about. How you become silent to survive. How you mourn your marriage, while still wearing the ring. Then I found something else. A payment on our bank statement labeled CC event planning. At first, I thought maybe it was work, but it came out of our personal account, and it wasn't small. It was hundreds, then more. Like installments. My mind raced. Event planning. For what? Our anniversary was over. We weren't planning a party. Nobody I knew was getting married. So what was Derrick planning? And why was it secret? That weekend, I tested Derrick. I tried to act normal, sweet, soft, unbothered. I smiled at him while he ate breakfast, the sun shining on his face like he was innocent. I asked casually, "You been to that new restaurant downtown?" Derrick didn't blink. No. His lie was so smooth, so confident. It scared me more than the cheating, because it meant he wasn't nervous. He wasn't ashamed. He was practiced. He finished his coffee and kissed my cheek. "Why are you asking?" I shrugged. "Just heard it was good," he smiled. "Let's go sometime." I stared at him thinking, "You already go?" "Just not with me." That night, I couldn't hold it anymore. I stood in the kitchen while he scrolled his phone, thumb moving too fast. "Derrick," I said, softly. He didn't look up. "Yeah." I walked closer, heart pounding. "If there's something you need to tell me now." He finally looked at me annoyed like I interrupted him. He stood up, walked over, and kissed my forehead like I was a child having a bad dream. "Baby," he said gently, "you worry too much." That was the cruelest thing. Not the lie, not even the cheating, but the way he made me feel like my intuition was the problem. I swallowed hard. "I'm your wife. I deserve honesty." His eyes hardened. "You're my wife. Stop acting paranoid." I nodded slowly, forcing my face to stay calm. But inside, I was shattering later that night. When he fell asleep, my phone buzzed. A message. From a number I didn't recognize. It said, "He's bringing her to the family dinner. Don't let her play in your face." My hands went numb. Family dinner. Marvin's house. Friday. Bree. The pieces slammed together like a door in my face, and I realized this wasn't just cheating anymore. This was humiliation served, hot, in front of his whole family. Cliffhanger. I reread that message until my eyes blurred, because if Derrick was bold enough to bring his mistress to my father-in-law's house, then he wasn't just cheating quietly, he was about to replace me loudly. I didn't sleep that night. I stared at my ceiling, replaying that message over and over like it was a warning siren. He's bringing her to the family dinner, not a date, not a hotel, not a secret apartment, a family dinner. At Marvin's house, the place where I helped cook Thanksgiving, the place where I laughed with his cousins, the place where I was supposed to be safe. Angie came over early the next morning, still in her leggings, hair wrapped in a scarf, eyes sharp. She read the text message and whispered, "Oh, he's bold." I felt sick. I don't know if I can do this. Angie grabbed my hand. "You can, because if he's bold enough to bring her, then she thinks she already won." That line hit me like a slap. She thinks she won, and suddenly something changed inside me. I wasn't just heartbroken, I was offended. I wasn't about to let some woman smile in my face while sleeping with my husband. Not in my spirit, not in my dignity, not in my name. So we made a plan. But first, I needed answers. I called Monica, Derrick's sister. Monica and I had always been close. She was one of those rare in-laws who felt like real family. She'd come over for coffee, gossip about TV shows, complain about Derrick's stubbornness. I called her, hands shaking. "Monica, can I ask you something?" "Of course," she said. I hesitated. "Do you know someone named Bree?" There was a pause so long, I thought. The call dropped. Then Monica whispered, "Tasha, Bree isn't just a random woman." My stomach sank. "What do you mean?" Monica exhaled like she'd been holding that secret for a while. "She used to date our cousin." "Like, seriously? Date him? Family events? Holidays? Everything." My mouth went dry. "So she's been around?" "Yes," Monica said. "And recently I saw her at my dad's office." My heart pounded. "Why?" Monica's voice dropped lower. "Because she's working with him. Something about event planning." "Event planning?" My blood ran cold. "That's what the payments were, CC." "Event planning." Monica continued. "Tasha, Derrick has been trying to, I don't know, shift things." "Shift what?" I asked, even though I already knew. She swallowed. "Shift you out." The air left my lungs. Monica explained that Marvin, their father, had been suspicious for weeks, but Derrick kept telling him it was handled, that he was figuring it out. Figuring what out? How to replace me without looking like the villain. How to introduce his mistress as something normal. My eyes burned, and then Monica said something that made rage shoot through me. "Tasha, Derrick's been saying you've been emotional, unstable, that you've been imagining things." I clenched my jaw, so he's setting me up to look crazy. Monica's voice cracked. "Yes." Angie, sitting beside me, whispered, "There it is." I wiped my face. "Okay." Angie raised her eyebrows. "Okay, what?" I sat up straighter. "Okay, then I'll show them the truth." Calmly. Angie smiled like she was proud. "That's my girl." We spent the next 2 days preparing, not plotting anything illegal, not anything violent, just the truth, served in a way nobody could ignore. I printed the bank statements with the restaurant, CHARGES highlighted. I printed the event, planning payments. I screenshot the messages with Bree, especially the ones where Derrick talked about me like I was nothing. And then I found the worst one. A message from Bree that said, "Your wife is so clueless. She really thinks you're working." My hands shook, but I saved it. That was the shocking reveal I needed, because Bree wasn't innocent. She wasn't confused. She wasn't tricked. She was proud. Then Angie helped me format everything into a simple slideshow, something clean, classy, undeniable. We titled it, "A Quiet Affair." Monica agreed to stand with me at the dinner if Derrick tried to twist things, and me. I decided I wasn't showing up looking like a woman who got played. I went to the salon and got my hair done softly. Nothing flashy. I bought a simple burgundy dress that hugged me just enough to remind myself I was still a woman, not a victim. I practiced my words in the mirror, since we're here as family. "I have something important to share." I didn't rehearse it like a speech. I rehearsed it like a boundary. That Friday evening, Derrick came home acting normal as ever. He wore his nice watch, sprayed cologne, smiled too much. "You ready?" he asked. I stared at him for dinner. "Yeah," he said, fixing his collar. "It's important." Important? He didn't know what was coming. I held my phone close. Slideshow loaded. Evidence ready. We drove to Marvin's house. The sky was dark, streetlights glowing, my heart thumping so hard I could feel it in my ears. When we pulled into the driveway, I saw cars already there. Family laughter spilling out through the windows. Derrick took my hand for show. I let him, because the last time he touched me like that would be tonight. We walked inside, and the smell of food hit: roast chicken, buttery rolls, warm spices. People hugged me. "Tasha, baby, you look beautiful." I smiled. "Thank you." Then I heard Derrick behind me say, "She's here." My spine stiffened. I turned, and that's when I saw her. Bree. Tall, polished, glossy hair, a smile that looked like it had never been told no. She stepped inside behind Derrick, like she belonged there, and she looked straight at me, eyes bright, lips curved, smiling like she was already the future. Cliffhanger. My heart pounded as Bree walked in like she owned my marriage. And I realized the family dinner wasn't just a gathering, it was a battlefield, and Derrick had no idea I came fully armed with the truth. Marvin's house looked like it always did: warm lights, framed family photos, the sound of old soul music playing low in the background. Everybody was laughing, everybody was eating, everybody was happy, except me, because I knew the truth. And the truth was sitting 5 feet away in a tight dress with glossy lips, pretending she was just a friend. Bree walked in like she'd rehearsed it. "Oh my goodness," she said sweetly, hugging Marvin. "Mr. Moore, it's so good to see you again." Marvin looked surprised for a second, just a flicker, then forced a polite smile. "Good to see you, Bree." Derrick placed his hand on my lower back, guiding me forward like we were a perfect couple. My skin crawled. Bree turned her attention to me, eyes scanning me like I was furniture. Then she said the most disrespectful thing with the sweetest voice. "Oh wow. You look good for someone who's been married so long." The room didn't hear the insult, but I did. I smiled politely, meeting her eyes. "Thank you," I said softly. I wanted to look nice for a special occasion. Angie wasn't there. She was waiting for my call afterward. Monica stood across the room, watching everything, face tight. Dinner began. The table was full, plates clinked, people talked about work, church, football, and Derrick. Derrick acted like a king, he joked. He laughed. He poured Bree wine like she was a guest of honor. Every time he did, it felt like a needle in my chest. Finally, Marvin stood up with his glass. "All right now," he said, with that big father voice. "I just want to say, family is everything." People nodded, murmuring. He continued, "We've been through a lot as a family, but we always stick together. So tonight, let's toast to unity." Derrick stood up too, like he wanted to take over the moment, but I stood up first. "Actually," I said calmly. Lifting my glass, the room turned to me. Derrick froze. "Tasha," I smiled. "I'd like to toast to." My voice didn't shake. That's what shocked everyone, because they expected me to be emotional. They expected me to cry. They expected me to cause a scene, but I didn't. I reached into my purse and pulled out a small HDMI adapter. Derrick's eyes widened slightly. "What are you doing?" he whispered through clenched teeth. I looked him in the eye and said softly, "Telling the truth." I plugged my phone into the living room TV and then I pressed play. The screen lit up with a title in bold letters. "A Quiet Affair." Silence crashed over the room like thunder. The first slide showed bank statements, restaurant charges. Tuesdays and Fridays highlighted. People leaned forward. Whispers started. Derrick's face drained of color. Next slide. Screenshots of Derrick's texts, his words, his jokes, his pet names for Bree. Then the message from Bree. "Your wife is so clueless." A gasp went around the table. Bree's smile vanished instantly. She stammered, "Wait." Derrick stepped forward. "Tasha, stop." I turned my head slightly, still calm. "No," I said. "You stop." The next slide was a photo I took from my car. Derrick, walking into Bree's townhouse complex. The evidence was clean, clear, undeniable. Derrick's mouth opened, but nothing came out. Marvin's face looked like it aged 10 years and 10 seconds. He whispered, "Derrick." Derrick tried to laugh it off. This is a misunderstanding." I looked at him like he was a stranger again. "A misunderstanding," I repeated. "So you didn't go to that restaurant every week?" Derrick swallowed. "Tasha, you didn't leave work early for a family thing?" I asked. He didn't answer. Bree tried to cry, putting her hand to her chest. I didn't know I clicked to the next slide. Her message, her laugh, her smugness. The room went colder. Monica stood up then, voice firm. "Don't lie again." I saw it too. Bree's eyes snapped to Monica. "You?" Monica cut her off. "Don't talk to me." Marvin slowly sat down, his hands shaking. Then he looked at Derrick, eyes full of disappointment. "How long?" Marvin asked. Derrick's voice came out quiet. "Dad, how long?" Marvin repeated, louder this time. Derrick looked around the room, realizing nobody was on his side. He finally whispered, "A few months." I laughed bitterly. "Try 2 years." Derrick's eyes flashed to me. "Tasha, please." And then his mask slipped. He got angry. "This is humiliating," he snapped. I tilted my head. "You're right." People gasped again, thinking I meant myself, but I didn't. I looked straight at him. "It is humiliating," I said. "For you? Because you thought I'd stay silent forever?" Derrick's voice cracked. "You didn't have to do it like this." I stared at him. "You didn't have to cheat like that." Bree tried to speak again, trembling. "I thought you two were." "Don't," I said sharply, my voice still controlled. "Don't insult me more by pretending you were confused." Bree's eyes filled with tears, but it looked like embarrassment, not remorse. Marvin suddenly stood up, voice shaking with authority. "You embarrassed your wife in my home," he said to Derrick. "You will not be welcome here until you fix what you broke." Derrick's face twisted. "Dad, come on." Marvin slammed his glass down, not violently, but firmly. "A real man doesn't humiliate his wife and call it love." Silence. Bree looked around like she expected someone to defend her. Nobody did. That's when I realized karma had already started, because Bree wasn't special. She was convenient, and now she was exposed. I took a slow breath. I looked around the table at everyone watching me, waiting to see what I'd do next. Then I said quietly, "I'm leaving." Derrick stepped forward immediately, panic in his eyes. Tasha, don't do this. I grabbed my purse and walked toward the door. He followed me like a desperate man. Tasha, please, he whispered, voice breaking. I'll fix it. I'll cut her off, I swear. This was the emotional apology scene raw, ugly, too late. His hands shook as he reached for mine. Baby. I messed up. I made a mistake. I never meant to hurt you. I stopped at the doorway and turned. Tears finally filled my eyes, not because I wanted him back, but because I was grieving the woman I used to be, the one who would have believed him. I said softly. You didn't make a mistake, Derrick. You made a decision. Over and over, he whispered. You think you won? I leaned closer, voice like a calm storm. No, I said. I finally stopped losing. Then I looked him straight in the face and delivered the final line I'd practiced. You cheated quietly, but karma doesn't whisper. I walked out. Behind me, I heard Chaos Marvin yelling, Monica crying, someone asking Bree to leave, but I didn't look back, because that night I didn't just expose an affair. I exposed my worth. In the weeks after, Derrick begged, he called, texted, showed up, please, Tasha, I can change, I miss you. It meant nothing, but Bree. Bree disappeared fast once the family rejected her once. Derrick's reputation cracked. Once she realized she wasn't walking into a fairy tale, she was walking into consequences. I started therapy. I focused on my kids. I rebuilt my peace, the same way you rebuild after a storm, slow, steady, brick by brick. And one day I woke up and realized I wasn't thinking about Bree. I wasn't checking Derrick's phone. I wasn't crying in the laundry room. I was breathing again. And that's when I knew I didn't just survive. I healed. Now listen, baby. When someone cheats in silence, you don't beg for love, you stand in truth. Walk away in peace.
Is this your receipt from the
and let
hotel,
karma
Mark?
finish the conversation.